Good day, I'm Junior Researcher Adam Southgate, working under Senior Researcher Dr. Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins has decided that his time would be better served continuing his work into the Fey Nymph. Make of that what you will. So from here, I'll be continuing the work of creating these instructional videos. I've been working under Dr. Jenkins for the past 8 months, and although I don't have his level of knowledge and experience, he will be advising me so the quality of information shouldn't drop. The doctor has asked that I treat this task as a learning opportunity, so apart from getting the knowledge directly from him, I will also be making full use of the Order's archive. As a personal note, I would ask all hunters with access to the archive to please return all material to where you found it. A Fey Wisp is a creature that eats children, not equipment, though it can be made into equipment. In this video, we'll be covering a number of subjects, the 2 main topics being the Pinocchio Program and the aberration sphere. I will also attempt to add in information about other things where applicable. As in Dr. Jenkins' 2 videos, I'll be including the notes of the same junior hunter. However, I have spoken to him myself and asked that he please make an effort to make his writing somewhat more legible. The Pinocchio Program, named after the novel The Adventures of Pinocchio, published in 1883, is a groundbreaking prosthetic limb program and by far the Order of Merlin's greatest contribution to the international community's effort at stemming the tide of extra-dimensional intrusions. Building off the technology of the Mind Mimic box, a Pinocchio is a wooden prosthetic limb with a wisp crystal mind inside. Deliberately reduced when compared to the mind of an MMB, the crystalline mind inside a Pinocchio is only capable of basic autonomic functions. This allows for a prosthetic limb that acts almost as a fully functional limb, however with some drawbacks. Firstly, although while the prosthetic is attached, there is a link between the crystal and the user, the link is only one way, meaning the user cannot feel the prosthetic as they would their own limb. Secondly, the user has no direct control over the limb. Instead, the crystal will move the limb automatically. This works brilliantly as long as the user isn't thinking about their movement. If the user does start to think about their movements, the prosthetic and the user will become out of sync, causing the prosthetic to act in unwanted ways. Finally, because of the other 2 drawbacks, a Pinocchio, although still far better than any other mundane prosthetic, does take an extended time to learn how to use effectively. A new fully functioning Pinocchio costs around £10,000, however freelance hunters working with the Order can buy them for £5,000, but only for personal use. Any individual caught selling or handing over a Pinocchio without Order approval will be suspect to any and all punishments the Order desires. When it comes to weaponry and ammunition, the Order, unlike other organizations, allow for those who hunt for us to choose whatever specific weapons and ammo they feel will suit the job the best. This freedom does come at the cost of the hunters supplying the equipment they use themselves, either by purchasing or constructing what they need. The Order does sell a wide variety of both, however, most hunters will acquire the general equipment from elsewhere while buying more specialized tools from ourselves. It is always recommended to all hunters to create for themselves a workspace where they can build and test new equipment. In the example given in the Junior Hunter's Notebook, the tungsten slug is mentioned, a fantastic tool for dealing with targets with pierce-resistant armor. The tungsten slug delivers a huge amount of blunt force trauma, usually stunning such targets so they can be dealt with by more conventional blunt weaponry such as a sledgehammer or mace. The tungsten slug is created by laboriously casting tungsten into the desired shape, then carefully replacing a more conventional steel or brass slug with the tungsten one, gluing it with a non-thermoreactive adhesive. Remember, the Order does offer night classes to all hunters wishing to improve their crafting abilities for a nominal weekly fee. The aberration sphere is the one that most in the research community really do wish didn't exist, as unlike all the others, it has no basis in human mythology and has only started to penetrate our own in the last few decades. The location of these incursions also pose questions, as so far they have only appeared in Wales, Japan, the Dominican Republic, and Antarctica. This causes a number of issues. Firstly, due to the lack of mythological evidence, we had to start from true zero while researching them. Secondly, it adds evidence to the future belief theory that incursions can occur due to myths and beliefs that have yet to be held by people. Until the aberration sphere, to our knowledge, the eldritch sphere was the only one that appeared before the mythos they were derived from. And finally, theirs is the first new incursion in living memory, which raises uncomfortable questions about the possibility of future incursions. The aberration we'll be looking at today is the shards, small crustacean-like parasites with the ability to reproduce asexually, with an adult shard being usually between 8 and 12 centimeters in length. Shards can be broken down into three main pieces. The shell, which is where its name derives, is a razor-sharp carbon lattice structure. Far harder than any known material, it still somehow remains extremely light, a square millimeter of shell being the same approximate weight of a snail shell. Next, the claws, that are made of the same material as the shell and are used to burrow into the host's flesh and then anchor the parasite into position. Lastly, the head, which is the only unprotected part of the creature, consists of only a mouth, bereft of eyes, ears, and nose. The worst part, at least in Wales, about the shards is that due to Wales's lack of natural carnivores, the only option for the shards are dogs. This has caused a false equivalency between dogs infected by the shards and the legend of the black dog. However, there appears to be no connection, as the shards do not show up in England, which has the same myth. Shards require carnivores as a host and will refuse to attach to any other type of creature, neither herbivore nor omnivore. Once a host has been selected, the shard will stay attached until the host dies, at which point they themselves will also perish. Their goal is to reproduce upon the host until the host is covered, at which point new offspring will fall to the ground instead of attaching, lying in wait for a vacant host. It has been theorized that wherever they came from, they were more symbiotic rather than parasitic, providing a suit of armor for their chosen host. This is also supported by the fact that all aberrant creatures appear to be bereft of nerve endings, meaning that their traumatic latching to the host would not induce the same pain-fueled madness that it does in our sphere. I'd very much like to thank you for your time today and sincerely hope that this presentation aids you in your career as a freelance hunter with Arthur's might and Merlin's wisdom. Thank you.